Hi, everybody. Welcome to my Tuesday devotional. I usually call this under 5 minute devotion. I may go over, so I called it probably over 5 minute devotion, but appreciate you being along with me here to hear a little bit from scripture and as I share some thoughts of my own. It's been kind of a different kind of week here in these parts. Coming to you from Spokane, Washington, as most of you know. And so we had it's present tense, some pretty intense fires in this area, especially on Saturday, really blew through and did a lot of damage and took out a number of homes and so a whole lot of folks are displaced and things like that. And so Saturday was pretty intense here as that all rolled through, and we're in recovery mode and still putting out fires, so the fires are active still. Um, you know, a, a few things to say. Well, one, in terms of practicalities around the church, that um, no dinner church this week on Wednesday. The church went into a level 2 evacuation zone, which means be ready to go, and so really it doesn't seem wise to have large gatherings there, even though the office will be open. So no dinner church. The other activities that happen through the week are canceled. So, and we'll keep you posted. I'm assuming we'll have Sunday worship, but time will tell. Um, a few things I want to say about everything. One is just hats off to all the folks who are doing their best to respond to the emergency. I mean, there were people out there fighting the fires and doing their best to evacuate people and deal with emergencies. And I saw on Saturday, a lot of emergency vehicles with the lights and sirens going. And so, of course, we show our appreciation to those folks who are doing their best to respond for us and to keep us safe in whatever way that they can. And so we let folks like that know that they are appreciated if you can. So we appreciate those folks. And two, our hearts go out to the people who've lost homes. A number of folks, and you've seen the footage, have lost their homes, and all that's left is a pile of rubble and a foundation and a chimney, and everything's gone. And there's got to be a lot of grief with that. Think about how much your home means to you, and the safety and security of your own home, and for people to lose that there's a lot of soul searching that goes on with that. And so our hearts go out to them, and in whatever way we can help. Of course, we want to do that. Something I'll say too is I, as a pastor, I've been through a few natural disasters. There was another forest fire when I was a pastor in Montana 25 years ago, and was pretty intense. And the whole thing went on for several weeks, and it was so that was my first experience with out of control forest fires, and what this is all like, and dealing with the smoke and all of that. And there was also a very bad flood when I was in Northwest Indiana that a lot of folks were pushed out of their homes, the recovery with that. I've seen what that's like. So all that to say is I've been through this before, and not to say like I'm some hardened veteran to natural disasters or anything like that. I've been lucky in all of those, and lucky again here. But I will say, if this is not the first one I've been through, it probably will not be the last one I will see. And these things happen, and that's part of the world that we live in. I'm less interested in the discussion of why does this happen anymore. You can, your basic theology class or whatever, why do good things happen to bad people? You deal with these questions of theodicy. Where is our loving God in the midst of that? And let me say, I'm less interested in those kind of discussions, just because I don't know. Like I said, I've been through it before. It'll happen again. Yeah, we live in a world where natural disasters happen. You can make sense of that however you want to make sense of that. And and so the question of why is this happening, or why is this happening to me, I'll basically say I don't know. I mean, when somebody's in a life-threatening illness and they're dealing with the questions of why does this happen to me, okay, we all ask these things, and there's different ways to answer them. Uh, that's just not what occupies my brain anymore, is trying to answer those questions. But I will say this, that it is an opportunity for us to be a neighbor. I saw on Saturday in our neighborhood people out on the street watching the big plumes of smoke and all of that, and people talking, and all of a sudden neighbors were connecting, and not that we don't otherwise, but we were talking and recognizing we were all kind of in the same boat in a way, and so neighbors connect over situations like this. When I was in Montana, and we had an after the fires community rally, and there were a couple of neighbors who got up and talked about, and these were people who were on opposite ideological sides of some fences, but they helped each other when the fires were coming through, and and so it was not to say that our differences all go away, but when the fires are raging, when disaster strikes, so neighbors help neighbors, and or should, and I think that happens in ways that remind us of our common humanity. And so this is a chance for us to be a neighbor. People naturally want to help, and in situations like this, people want to help, and there's some ways to do that, and I'll mention that here in a bit. But let me bring up to you this Bible verse. We talked about this story in church a couple weeks ago, Sunday worship, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And as it's wrapped up, Jesus asks, "What do you think? Which one of these three was a neighbor to the man who encountered thieves?" Then the legal expert said, "The one who demonstrated mercy toward him." And Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." So that's Luke 10,